Hey BookTube, I'm coming back to you today to talk about a couple books that I finished reading recently, and I apologize for the lighting. I'm just kind of sneaking these in really quick before I go to bed because I have to return these two books back to work tomorrow morning. But they're both graphic novels. The first one is The Nobody by Jeff Lemire. This is kind of a modern day retelling of The Invisible Man. Our main character here, John Griffin, he comes to this town. It's a small town called Largemouth, named after largemouth bass. People come there for fishing and stuff. And of course, his looks, attract a lot of attention. He pretty much keeps to himself. He rents out a motel room across from a diner where he gets his food. But he very infrequently kind of goes over there to get his food, brings the attention of Vicky, the daughter of the owner of the diner, who starts to be, her curiosity is piqued about this stranger. Where is he from? Why does he look that way? She's probably the only one who has the guts to actually come out and ask. And maybe she feels like he might be lonely as well. So they do kind of strike up a bit of a tenuous friendship. But he doesn't really reveal a lot of his secrets. He does say that he, is a professor. He studies chemistry. He's here for research. He isn't well all the time, he admits, and that he had suffered some form of accident, hence the bandages. But it kind of touches on, small town mentality and fear of the unknown. When someone's different, they start to speculate and start to create fear. And that kind of mob mentality where they sort of start to suspect him of every little thing that's gone wrong in the village and start to go after him. I thought it was pretty decent. I like the art style. I know it's very kind of sketchy style, very loose. You can see not a whole lot of detail. The faces are very loosely drawn, but it works with the story. Even the very stark, simplistic, I can't show you that page, that's a spoiler, but real simplistic, color, just blue wash on black ink drawing really stands out a lot. And this is the artist and illustrator of Sweet Tooth, which I had read some of the issues of. Never really finished that. I'd like to revisit it sometime if I can get the whole series in one go. But overall I did enjoy it. It wasn't super in-depth, but I thought it was a pretty decent graphic novel. And the next one I found was one I'd come across quite often, and I finally got around to picking it up. And this is a graphic memoir called Stitches by David Small. Starts out when he's 6 years old and kind of living in a not very loving family. His mother's, you have to tiptoe around her. She's very volatile, it seems, in her emotions and not very overly loving towards the rest of the family. The father kind of does his work. He comes home and relieves his tension with a punching bag. His older brother's always banging on the drums, and here's poor David kind of just off to himself, drawing. That's his main fun, is just kind of sketching away. Let me see him there in the corner. And this again has very simple art style, and it just seems to work really well with it. It's just kind of like ink wash, very gray kind of color scale to the whole thing. I kind of took off the dust jacket to protect it when I was reading it and realized, oh, look at this gigantic drawing of the kid back here. It's about him when he was a small boy, and I guess he was very sickly, and his father, who's actually a radiologist, used to hope to kind of cure, he had like asthma and stuff, we're trying to find a cure and stuff like that by exposing him to x-rays and things, study his respiratory system and everything, and but that apparently possibly caused the eventual cancer that he ends up developing with a tumor in his neck. They don't tell the poor boy that he has cancer. He kind of inadvertently finds out through the story on his own. But he used to visit the hospital and look at his father's books. Him and his brother would sneak into his father's office and look at the medical textbooks. And one time he sees this thing about a growth, and his brother's like, "Oh, look at this," and now suddenly he has this growth on his neck, and he's, obviously very scared about it. But they say he's gonna, you know, have to have surgery, and it's like the parents don't seem to be any rush to like take care of the situation. Even when the father comes into like a raise, they're looking at new cars. He's like an afterthought. I felt really bad for the kid in this story. He's like just an afterthought to his family until they finally eventually get around to doing it. And as it explains in the synopsis of the book, that this surgery, when they eventually get to it and to remove this, what actually is a tumorous growth in his neck, it ends up having to take his vocal cords and basically making him a virtual mute. It's deeply moving. It's watching this poor child kind of struggling to find, you know, a voice of his own, you know, to be heard from his family, and hear his voice is just taken from him. And basically, it's like through his sketches and stuff, we learn his story. I thought it was really engrossing. You come to really kind of despise the mother and father through this, and then I got to the very end when you see a picture of the mother and a picture of the dad, and you learn a little bit more about the mother's kind of backstory too, and she didn't really come from a very loving family either, it seems like. So it kind of explains a little bit about her upbringing and some of the health problems she had as well that may have had an effect on her. But yeah, I thought it was really, really interesting. And like I said, I really like the art style too. I like that kind of loose, simple, the story kind of propelled it almost more than the details of the illustration. So I thought it was very well. So anyway, that's just my review on The Nobody by Jeff Lemire and David Small's Stitches. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.